Good morning, children. It's time to start our theme 6. It is about Bhakti and Sufi traditions, changes in religious beliefs and devotional texts, approx 8 to the 18th century. This is part 1. We'll be doing many more parts as the chapter is long enough. Let us first start with the Bhakti movement. What was the Bhakti movement? Bhakti movement in Hinduism refers to ideas and engagement that emerged in the medieval era on love and devotion to religious concepts built around one or more gods and goddesses. Children, the literal meaning of bhakti is devotion. Bhakti movement implied the movement which emphasized intense devotion to God. This devotion was expressed by a devotee through the repetition of the name of Almighty. The mode of expression was usually singing and dancing in the praise of God. The saints of the Bhakti movement also emphasized that there was no distinction of class, color, caste, etc. All were equal. All had the right to salvation, that is freedom from the cycle of births and deaths. The saints of the Bhakti movement believed in leading a pure life and a simple life. The saints emphasized that one need not go to pilgrimages to holy places for securing salvation. Now, it's time for Sufism. What was Sufism? Sufi movement was a socio-religious movement of 14th to the 16th century. The union of the human soul with God through love and devotion was the essence of the teachings of the Sufi saints. The method of their realizing God was the renunciation of the world and worldly pleasures. The Sufi saints lived a secluded life. That is, in simple words, Sufism was a mystical Islamic belief and practice in which Muslims seek to find the truth of divine love and knowledge through direct personal experience of God. Now let us move forward with the chapter. The striking feature during the period between 8th to the 18th century. Let us first discuss something about Hinduism and the Bhakti movement. During this period, a large number of gods and goddesses in sculpture as well as in texts appeared. This indicated the continued and extended worship of the major deities such as Vishnu, Shiv, and the goddesses visualized in a variety of forms. A mosaic of religious beliefs and practices. Mosaic is diversified with different colors. One of the most striking examples of this process is evident at Puri, Orissa, where the principal deity was identified by the 12th century as Jagannath, literally the Lord of the whole world, a form of Vishnu. The integration of cults. Historians who have tried to understand these developments suggest that there were at least two processes at work. One was a process of disseminating Brahminical ideas. This was exemplified by the composition, compilation, and preservation of Puranic texts in simple Sanskrit verse. They were meant to be accessible to women and Shudras who were excluded from Vedic learning. There was a second process at work, that of the Brahmins accepting and reworking the beliefs and practices, these and other social categories. Through an example, we can say that a local deity whose image was and continues to be made of wood by local tribal specialists was recognized as a form of Vishnu. These local deities were often incorporated within the Puranic framework by providing them with an identity as a wife of the principal male deities. Sometimes they were equated with Lakshmi, the wife of Vishnu. Tantric worship. The forms of worship often associated with goddess were classified as tantric. Tantric worship was widespread in the subcontinent. It was open to women and men. Those who followed Tantric rejected the caste and class within the ritual context. Many of these ideas influenced Shaivism and Buddhism. Conflicts that arose during the Bhakti movement. There were conflicts between those who followed the Vedic tradition and those who practiced the Tantric way of worshipping deities. Those who valued Vedic tradition often condemned the practices that went beyond the performance of sacrifices and chanting of mantra. On the other hand, those who engaged in Tantric practices ignored the authority of the Vedas. Early traditions of Bhakti. The Bhakti saints emphasized on two ways of imagining the nature of the God. One was Nirgun and second one was Sagun. Nirgun is the concept of a formless God which has no attributes or quality, whereas Sagun has form, attributes and quality. Both of these can be traced to the famous Vedic hymn Ekam Sat Vipra Bahuda Vadanti. Truth is one, sages call it many names. It is the same God but is viewed from two perspectives. One is Nirguni, which is knowledge focused, and other is Saguni, which is love focused. Those belonging to the Sagun school worship the anthropomorphic manifestations of the divine being, particularly Ram and Krishna. Both Ram and Krishna were regarded as incarnation of God on earth. The historians of religion classified Bhakti traditions into two broad categories, Sagun with attributes and Nirgun without attributes. Sagun included traditions that focused on the worship of specific deities such as Shiv, Vishnu and his avatars or incarnations and forms of the goddess or Devi. Nirgun Bhakti on the other hand was worship of an abstract form of God. Bhakti traditions divided into two, Sagun and Nirgun. Sagun says anthropomorphic form and Nirgun says abstract form. Now children, what is this anthropomorphic form? In religion and mythology, anthropomorphism is the perception of a divine being or beings in human form, or the recognition of human qualities in these beings. Some anthropomorphic deities represented specific human concepts such as love, war, fertility, beauty, or the seasons. It is used to describe a concept called anthropomorphism or ascribing human characteristics to non-human beings. Typically, this is used in reference to deities or gods or goddesses, which are usually given the form of humans. However, the word can apply to non-human things including animals and plants also. The Alvars and Nayanars of Tamil Nadu. During the 6th century, some of the Bhakti movements were led by the Alvars and the Nayanars. The literal meaning of the Alvars is those who are immersed in devotion to Vishnu. The meaning of the word Nayanars is those who were devotees of Shiva. How you can remember this is A-V, Alvars Vishnu, N-S, Nayanars Shiva. They travelled from place to place singing hymns in Tamil in praise of the gods. During their travels, the Alvars and Nayanars identified certain shrines as abodes of the chosen deities. Later, big temples were built at those places and developed as pilgrimage centers. Attitude towards caste. According to some historians, the Alvars and the Nayanars started a movement of protest against the caste system and the Brahmins and attempted to reform the system. The devotees came from the different social backgrounds such as artisans, cultivators, and even from the caste that were considered as untouchables. Compositions of the Alvars and Nainars. The compositions of the Alvars and the Nainars are considered to be as important as the Vedas. For instance, one of the anthologies of compositions of the Alvars, the Nalayira Divya Prabandham, was described as the Tamil Ved, and the text was significant like the Veds that were used by the Brahmins. Alvars and Nainars. 12 Alvars. 10th Alvar was Kula Shekhara Alvar, only Keralite he was. Pediya Puranam Shekizar referred about 63 Nainars. Works of 12 Alvars compiled in the 10th century Nalayira Divya Prabandham. Compilation of Appar Sundarar Sambandar in Thevaram. Women devotees. One of the striking features of these traditions was the presence of women. For example, there was a saint poet called Andal, a woman Alvar. Her compositions were sung and sung even today. Another woman, Karaikal Ammayar, a devotee of Shiv, adopted the path of extreme asceticism to attain her goal. Her compositions were preserved within the Nayanar tradition. These women renounced their social obligations but did not become nuns. Their presence was a challenge to patriarchal norms. Opposition to Buddhism and Jainism. The saint poets, the Alvars and the Nainars were opposed to Buddhism and Jainism. This hostility is well marked in their compositions, particularly of the Nainars. Historians say that this conflict was due to competition between members of different religious traditions for royal patronage. That's all for today, children. Now see you in the next part.